Let's just take a quick second and freeze exactly where you are right now. Seriously, do a quick scan. Where is your body holding stress at this exact moment? Are you kind of clenching your jaw? Maybe your neck feels super stiff? We almost always try to just logic our way out of feeling overwhelmed, but the reality is, stress isn't just some mental loop stuck in your head, it's a highly physical, stored experience.
Just notice these incredibly universal symptoms. Tight shoulders, shallow breathing, those racing thoughts that just won't quit. And hey, these aren't just byproducts of a bad day, right? They are the immediate flashing warning signs that your body is physically hoarding tension. When you get that coiled up, tightly wound sensation, just sitting still and telling yourself to calm down is, well, it's almost biologically impossible. You literally need a physical release.
Okay, so let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're unpacking dancing as stress relief, a coach's perspective. Now listen, if the sheer word dance instantly gives you terrifying flashbacks to awkward middle school proms or, your own two left feet, let me stop you right there. We are completely throwing out the idea of dance as some kind of talent-based performance. Instead, we're looking at movement through the eyes of dance coach Vladislav Knight, who sees it as a highly practical, incredibly low-barrier physical antidote to overwhelm.
Moving into Section 1, Stress in the Body, and the idea of processing over storing. Let's look at the actual physiology of what happens to us when we move. So what's absolutely fascinating here is how rhythmic movement basically short-circuits your nervous system. See, stress literally camps out in your body, but as you start coordinating your breath and your posture to a beat, you are actively yanking yourself right out of that fight-or-flight mode. It immediately anchors your attention to the present moment, which naturally just cuts down on all that rumination. Plus, moving to music you actually like gives you this sudden surge of agency. You stop just storing all that frantic pent-up energy and you actually begin to physically process it.
All right, Section 2, dance as a reset and shifting the mindset. So the absolutely crucial point here is to just completely forget about the ballroom or the stage for a minute. The coach defines dancing super simply. He calls it a repeatable reset that changes your physiology and moves you out of fight or flight. I mean, how great is that? It's just movement that physically shifts your state while giving your mind a positive focus. By framing it this way, literally all the pressure of looking cool just vanishes. It's essentially a physiological reset button that you can press on demand.
Which brings us to Section 3, regulation, not performance, and overcoming the perfectionism barrier. Because we definitely have to address the elephant in the room. Why exactly do people freeze up and quit moving when they're stressed?
Well, this right here perfectly captures the core trap. On the left side, we have performance. This is that exhausting perfectionism, worrying about your form, forcing some high-intensity workout, obsessing over what you look like in the mirror. It's just draining. But what we actually need is on the right, regulation. This is sustainable. It means choosing movements that just let your body lead, bringing in this gradual ease. Because honestly, when you are totally stressed out, comfort is going to beat intensity every single time. To really make regulation work for you, you kind of have to treat this like a short training block, specifically for your nervous system. And the very foundation of this is using music you genuinely enjoy. But since stress completely hijacks our logic, you need repeatable sensory triggers to help you out. So pick a consistent time of day, use a familiar playlist, and establish a short entry ritual. Maybe just one deep inhale and a quick shoulder roll right before the beat drops. Doing this consistently totally hacks your brain, helping it automatically associate this little ritual with feelings of safety and calm.
Okay. Moving to Section 4, a simple dance routine featuring the coach's template. Let's look at an actionable, zero choreography routine that you can easily sprinkle in a few times a week. I've got to say, I was amazed by how small and gentle this 4-step nervous system reset actually starts. Step 1 is just 1 to 2 minutes of pure, simple grounding. You just stand tall, relax your jaw, drop your shoulders, and take slow breaths. Then step 2 is the core, 5 to 8 minutes of just really gentle dancing. Maybe just a step touch or a side-to-side sway to the beat. In step 3, you can add some easy options like a hip sway or some arm waves for 2 to 3 minutes. But critically, do not overthink your form here. And finally, step 4 is just a quick 1 to 2 minute cool down. Walk slowly, breathe evenly. The whole thing is entirely guided by what feels comfortable to your own body. Now, if you only take one single physical cue away from this entire routine, let it be your breath. You absolutely have to monitor your breathing throughout the whole thing. If you suddenly catch yourself holding your breath, or maybe you're panting because you're moving way too fast, you need to scale it down immediately. The golden rule here is that stress relief must feel like nervous system regulation. It should never, ever feel like a brand new source of physical strain. And that leads us to section 5, microdancing for tough days and interrupting the loop. Because let's be real, sometimes even a gentle 10-minute routine feels utterly impossible.
Look at this number right here, 60 to 90. That is the number of seconds we are talking about for a microdance. If you're feeling completely emotionally flooded or overwhelmed, you do not need to do the full routine. You literally only need 60 to 90 seconds of movement. It is such a powerfully short time commitment, but physiologically, it is just enough time to successfully interrupt that racing stress loop going on in your brain.
So why does just a minute actually work? Well, because the goal is simply to create momentum toward calm, not to complete some grueling workout. On those really tough, overwhelming days, you've got to give yourself some immense grace. Your only objective here is sensory regulation. You are basically just striking a tiny spark that sends a clear biological signal to your brain, hey, we are safe, we can move, we are not trapped.
And the coach provides some really fantastic mindful modifications to make sure this meets you exactly where your nervous system is currently at. Dealing with an injury or some medical limits? No problem. Try some low-impact marching, stepping, or even seated dancing. Have balance issues? Grab some comfortable footwear or just dance barefoot on a flat surface to stay grounded. And crucially, if you're feeling emotionally flooded, skip the high-energy pop music, drop the tempo, choose a much slower song, and shrink your movements down. This tool is completely adaptable to whatever state you are in.
Over time, this really transforms from just a quick little stress hack into a deep physiological mood practice. The coach sums the whole thing up so beautifully. If you're looking for a low-cost, high-reward way to manage stress, start with one song. Let it be enough for today. You don't need a fancy gym, and you sure don't need perfect rhythm. You just need to let your body naturally process what your mind is holding on to, which brings up a pretty fascinating question. If a racing mind can't cure a racing mind, what song are you going to press play on today to physically short-circuit your stress loop? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. See you next time.